Yes, you're still watching Smart Means Business and taking you through the top stories. And we are going to start with the topic of discussion, which we've been discussing about today, about the investment SACCOS being urged to invest in stocks and shares. That's by Byarugaba of NSSF. The managing director, Security Fund, Richard Byarugaba, has actually come out to urge the SACCOS in Uganda to actually invest in stocks. Speaking to journalists, Byarugaba says this will help them to make money for their members, saying that this is passive investment, which gets in turn income in the passive manner. Let's get more of the report.
In Uganda, savings and credit cooperatives as financial intermediaries channeling savings into loans provide saving opportunities for the people, especially in the rural areas, but rather improvements are necessary to make their services more efficient and sustainable. The Managing Director, National Social Security Fund, NSSF, Richard Byarugaba, therefore urged investment savings and credit cooperatives to invest in stocks and shares, saying that this will bring a lot of money to their members subscribed to these SACCOS.
I think one of our biggest thrusts with our securities business really has been how do we get as many as possible Ugandans to participate in capital markets and money markets. Essentially, how do we change the narrative from wealth creation is for wealthy people to wealth creation is for everyone? How do we lower the barriers of entry to wealth creation? Our focus is on how do we get retail, meaning each and every one of Ugandans the opportunity to participate in money markets and capital markets. It should be an egalitarian right for every Ugandan to participate in the investment space. It should be a basic human right. How do we democratize investments for the average Ugandan?
Financial literacy has been recognized as a critical factor in improving the quality of life and enhancing financial inclusion in Uganda. One of the most important roles of the Bank of Uganda is to ensure consumers make informed financial and economic decisions that ultimately drive economic growth.
The challenge is for everybody. Of course, the Ministry of Finance has a role. The Stock Exchange has a role. The Capital Markets Authority has a role. Bank of Uganda has a role. NSSF, we have a role. And we've been doing that through the financial literacy. If you see today, we were talking about financial literacy for everybody. Everybody needs to understand how financial markets work. Everybody needs to understand that you don't have to prepare for your retirement through buying land, because when you become old, that land will not give you money to look after you, because you need cash in retirement. So I think there is so much that we can learn. There are so many places we can invest our money without incurring a lot of risk. And certainly stocks, things like bonds, the ones that are issued by Bank of Uganda, things like corporate bonds that are issued by companies, things like the investment in real estate through things like REITs, which we have a law for but haven't been implemented in Uganda. I think those are huge opportunities for Ugandans to begin to invest and to learn to invest passively so that they don't get involved in the investment themselves.
We came to ring the bell for World Investor Week under the theme of financial literacy and leveraging technology around financial inclusion. So one of the things we've been looking at is every year, the World Federation of Exchanges, who partner with us, we ring that bell for to ensure that we promote investor education and investor protection. So today we brought together different stakeholders within the market, so the stockbrokers, the listed companies, among others, investors, and we've been running this event from about 9 to now, where we're educating the public about the benefits of investing in the market, the challenges, the risks, among others. However, this initiative started on Monday 4th and is ending on 10th, and over 70 exchanges around the world have been ringing the bell for financial literacy.
Following the successful implementation of the first strategy for financial literacy 2013 to 17, Bank of Uganda has spearheaded the development of the second strategy for financial literacy in Uganda 2019 to 24. The strategy for the financial literacy is a roadmap of actions and agreed upon steps by the public and the private sector to achieve a set of defined financial literacy objectives. The vision is that Ugandans have the knowledge, skills and confidence to manage their finances. More goals of the strategy include improve the ability of the population to manage their money, equip the population with knowledge and skills to protect themselves against risks and fraud. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24.
Yes, in other stories, Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the 41st World Food Day, embraced the Agenda of 2030 for Sustainable Development. While addressing the media, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Husbandry, Rarimana, says as Uganda is preparing to celebrate the World Food Day, there is need for comprehensive action to be taken to avert interceptions of export of fresh fruits and vegetables, vegetable exports to the European Union and other markets. Let's get more of the report.
Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the 41st World Food Day as one of the 183 countries that embraced the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Goals. Uganda is keen to live up to its international commitments, one of which is achieving zero hunger by ensuring food security and nutritious diets for all its people. However, while addressing journalists, the Minister of State for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Bright Ramirama, says as Uganda is preparing to celebrate World Food Day, there is a need for a comprehensive action plan to avert the interceptions of export of fresh fruits and vegetable exports to the European Union and other markets.
There are still areas that require a lot of regulatory attention. For instance, there is a need for a comprehensive action plan to avert the interception of export of fresh fruits and vegetable exports to Europe and other markets. Agriculture Cluster Development Plan, ACDP, offered support to activities aimed at strengthening the capacities of the phytosanitary and the quarantine services in the Department of Crop Inspection and Certification to deal with the quarantine pests and diseases, quality assurance of seed imports and exports in accordance with national and regional and international guidelines on protocols. This project and others such as the Crop Pest and Disease Control Project 2 continued to support the broader objective of reducing losses due to pests and disease from an average of 30% to now below 10%.
Ramirama further said that his ministry is working on increasing agricultural production and productivity by increasing access to critical farm inputs as well as improving agricultural markets and value chain.
What MAIF is doing. The agro-industrialization program implementation of action plan is a successor to the agricultural sector strategic plan 2 for the period 2015 to 16 to 2019-20, as SSP2 had 4 major objectives, namely increasing agricultural production and productivity, increasing access to critical farm inputs, improving agriculture markets and value chain, D, strengthening the agriculture services institution and the enabling environment.
Efficient production and marketing of export crops requires good governance and enabling public policy and the provision of key public goods, the infrastructure, institutions and services that provide market information, establish grades and standards, and manage risks and enforce contracts. The establishment of these conditions for agricultural export market is a continuing challenge in many African countries, including Uganda. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24.
Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the 41st World Food Day as one of the as one of the 193 countries that embrace the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Goals. Uganda is keen to live up to its international commitments, one of which is achieving zero hunger by ensuring food security, nutritious diets to all its people. However, while addressing the journalists, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Husbandry and Fisheries, Bright Ramirama, says Uganda is preparing to celebrate the World Food Day. There is need for comprehensive action to avert interceptions of export of fresh fruits and vegetable exports to the European Union and other markets. Ramirama further said that his ministry is working on increasing agricultural production and productivity by increasing access to critical farm inputs as well as improving agricultural markets and value chain. Efficient production and marketing of export crop requires good governance and enabling public policy and the provision of the key goods, the infrastructure, institutions and services that provide market information. Uganda being really predominantly agriculture, such steps are really so influential in terms of the sector. The fact that food is actually on demand, the fact that we are having a food crisis on a global scale. Then in other stories, educationists have called for the reopening of schools currently. The schools are still closed due to fear of the COVID-19 pandemic. Schools have been closed for several months and more than 15 million children actually are still home. During an interview with Smart 24 TV, Christopher Chuanukakawesa, the Director of Communications and Public Relations Proprietors of Private Education Institution Association in Uganda, says the closure of schools has actually had a negative impact on the economy. Let's have a look at this report.
Decades of experience and research have taught us that when children are out of school for a prolonged period of time, their exposure to physical, emotional and sexual violence increases, as well as their mental health deteriorates and more vulnerable to child labor, teenage pregnancies, child marriage, and less likely to break out of the cycle of poverty. Educations have therefore called for the reopening of schools. Currently, the schools are still closed due to fear of the pandemic, saying it has also affected the economic growth of the country.
It is a misconception to think that when we close schools, the other sectors are really working. The whole country is running into absolute poverty because of a protracted closure of schools. When you start looking at, for instance, the example of the maize mills, on average, per year, schools consume 1.7 trillion, about 1.7 trillion. That means that over the last period, that particular sector of maize and beans has lost over 3.5 trillion. But what about the other integrated sectors in the economy? The stationery industry, the agriculture industry generally, the manufacturing industry, the construction industry, the transport industry. These are all key sectors in driving the education sector. And once it stops, all of them practically get halted.
The reopening of schools and learning institutions can also be a tool to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Many children at home still do not have adequate information about the virus and how to prevent it. Schools are where children learn these practices most effectively and then replicate those to the rest of the household, and teachers can be trained to ensure that children have information about and practice through hand washing, not touching each other, as well as pushing personal hygiene and other vital measures.
Yeah, we understand government's concern when sometime in the phased reopening, they purportedly discovered, and I will use the word purportedly, they purportedly discovered some cases of COVID-19 infections within schools. The statistics indicated that there were about 800 children. Nonetheless, 800 children out of about 10 million who were already back at school. I don't know how the government compares that, much as it is also deadly. I wonder how the government compares that with the rest of the deaths that have happened when actually these were not deaths. Okay? Now, the problem that actually is coming is even worse than what happened at that time. Number one, what happened will not happen again in schools. No schools are going to be intimidated to deal with the COVID-19 prevention measures. We are set to do that. But how many parents are set at home to protect the children from defilement? Over 17,000 have been defiled. To protect the children from early teenage pregnancies, almost 20,000 have become pregnant, and others have already been victims of maternal mortality.
Teachers say that they have also learned that there is no known evidence of a correlation between the rate of disease transmission and whether or not schools and learning institutions remain open or closed.
Government cannot regain confidence in the schools that we are capable of managing the COVID situation unless they open the schools. When will they know that now we are prepared? When they talk about vaccination, we have done it, and we continue to do it, and we are appealing to all people to undergo vaccination, regardless of whether it's school or not school. Anybody who is actually eligible for vaccination should go and undertake vaccination. It's an appeal. I've done it myself. My own children have done it. My members of staff have done it. And very many others have done it. Those who have not done it should go and undertake vaccination. That's number one. Number two, we have set up a joint committee with the parents, with the traders, with the school managements to start monitoring. We want to undertake self-policing to ensure that every school which has been opened adheres to the COVID-19 requirements. So if we have made that pledge, if government pledges that we are going to bring vaccines and we accept and they don't bring, it's not like the same way. We are ready to protect the children.
The closure at the start of the outbreak was appropriate and in line with the global response to the pandemic. However, educationists have since learned that children and schools are not the main drivers of the pandemic across the country. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24.
Alex Anganya appointed URSB Deputy Registrar General. The Uganda Registration Services Bureau has announced the appointment of Alex Anganya as the Acting Registrar General, Finance and Administration. The board chairman, Ambassador Francis Butagira, said the organization structure was being aligned to deliver mandates to full capacity and that appointments to fill the vacant positions are still going on. He said Anganya is a dedicated and inclusive leader who has shown strong leadership over the past couple of years and his role as Director Internal Audit. Let's have a look at this report.
The Uganda Registration Service Bureau has announced the appointment of Alex Anganya as the Acting Deputy Registrar General Finance and Administration. Anganya will assume duty on October 11th, 2021, reporting to the Registrar General and Board of Directors. Anganya will support the functions of the Registrar General, Masekaino Wisho. He will also provide management support to all directorates of the URSB. The Registrar General said that URSB has been without a substantive Deputy Registrar General after the passing of Alfred Mugisha in July 2021 and the exit of Jenny Langoya in January 2021, saying that she is very pleased that they have filled this key executive position from their own ranks, which underlines the strength of their organization. Alex Anganya is a certified public accountant and a professional auditor with thorough knowledge, strong skills and experience in internal auditing, financial and treasury management, and risk management with good leadership skills. This was achieved with over a decade of his balanced internal audit career in both private and public sector organizations. Alex was appointed Senior Internal Audit, Head of Internal Audit at URSB, and grew to become the Director Internal Audit, a position he holds up to date. He was elected Chairman of the Audit Committee of the Africa Regional Intellectual Property Organization, which brings together 20 member states, Uganda inclusive, with headquarters based in Harare, Zimbabwe. Alex holds a master's degree in business administration and Bachelor of Commerce, both from Makerere University. He is also a member of the Institute of Internal Auditors and also a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda. He holds a certificate of security management from Industrial Security Services.
Yes, that's Alex Sanganya. Talking about Alex Sanganya, you could be asking yourself, who really is Alex Sanganya? Alex Sanganya is a CPA accountant. He's a CPA accountant and a professor and a professional auditor with thorough knowledge, skills, and experience in internal auditing. Yeah, he has been doing quite a number of things. We see here that he has quite a lot of skills concerning internal auditing, financial and treasury management, and risk management with good leadership skills. Yes, this was achieved with over a decade of his balanced internal audit career in both private and public sector organizations. Yes, Alex was appointed Senior Internal Auditor, Head of Internal Audit at URSB, and grew to become a Director of Internal Audit, a position he holds till date. Yes, he was elected Chairman of the Audit Committee of the Africa Regional Intellectual Property Organization. Wow, this is really something very reputable for him. Yes, which brings together 20 member states, Uganda inclusive, with the headquarters based in Harare, Zimbabwe. He served in his capacity for 4 years. He was also elected the chairperson of the GLOC Audit Committee, a subcommittee of the GLOS Budget Working Group, a position he holds till today. Since assuming the role of Director Internal Audit, Alex has registered tremendous achievements in that area. More so in the area of good governance, transparency, and accountability. Yes, which has led to improvement in revenue collection and service delivery generally. And as a result, the Bureau today is being rated as one of the best performing, as one of the best professionally run public sector entity. Yes, that's Alex Sanganya for you right there. So let's get into the foreign news. The top story here is the World Bank revises Kenya's 2021 growth projection to a higher 5%. The World Bank is predicting the Kenya's economy to grow by 5%. Yes, the World Bank Group now sees that Kenyan economy expanding by higher 5% this year. The new projection is contained in the multilateral lenders' October projections for economies in sub-Saharan Africa, which were published on Wednesday.
The World Bank Group now sees the Kenyan economy expanding by a high 5% this year. This is in contrast to a lower projection of 4.5%, an outlook posted at the end of June. The new projection is contained in the multilateral lenders' October projections for economies in sub-Saharan Africa, which were published on Wednesday. The greater projection for growth in Kenya has been anchored on the observed broad-based rebound to economic activity. This positive outlook reflects improvements in construction, education, ICT, and real estate sectors. Inflation remains contained near the central bank objective, and monetary policy continues to support growth, the report notes. Nevertheless, the World Bank predicts slower growth into the medium term, with Kenya's GDP is estimated to grow by an average 4.8% in 2022 and 2023, in contrast to a higher outlook of 5%.
The World Bank Group now sees Kenyan economy expanding by 5%. In this contrast to a lower projection of 5.5%, an outlook posted at the end of June. The new projection is contained in the multilateral lenders' October projections for economies in sub-Saharan Africa, which were published on Wednesday. The greater projection for growth in Kenya has been anchored on the observed broad-based rebound to economic activity. Yes, this positive outlook reflects the improvements in the construction, education, ICT, and real estate sectors. Inflation remains contained in the central bank objective, and monetary policy continues to be much more favorable. Nevertheless, the World Bank predicts slower growth into the medium term, with Kenya's GDP estimated to grow by an average of 4.8% in 2022 and 2023, in contrast to a higher outlook of 5% previously. Into another story, to mark the end of the hour, Russian plane carrying parachutists crashes and 16 are killed. A plane carrying a group of parachute jumpers crashed in the Russian region of Tatarstan on Sunday, killing 16 people, injuring 6 people, the emergencies ministry said. Let's have more of this report.
A plane carrying a group of parachute jumpers crashed in the Russian region of Tatarstan on Sunday, killing 16 people and injuring 6, the Emergencies Ministry said. The aircraft, which came down near the city of Menzaletsky, had been carrying 20 parachutists, 2 crew members. 6 people were in a serious condition. Alert L410 Tubular twin-engine short-range transport aircraft. The plane was owned by Aero Club in the city of Menzaletsky, TASS news agency reported. Cosmonauts use the area for training, and the Aero Club has hosted local, European and World Championships. The club's director Ravil Namkamentov was quoted by TASS as saying, "The state-run cosmonaut training facility has suspended its ties with the Aero Club pending an investigation." TASS cited a source as saying. The RIA agency cited local authorities as saying one of the engines have failed.
A plane carrying a group of parachute jumpers has crashed in the Russian region of Tatarstan. Yeah, actually these things normally happen. We've had quite a lot of history where planes crash, and in most cases, according to the research, this is sometimes attributed to the luggage they carry. You know, when you're going onto the plane, there is a certain percentage, not percentage, actually there are kilograms you're allowed to carry, and sometimes now, concerning the foreign stories, like in the United States of America, most of the planes were attributed to crash due to too much luggage, like they were carrying the excess kilos. And the kilos were not really attributed to the luggage. Yes, the people could carry actually the right kilograms of the luggage, but what could cause issues was that the people themselves were weighty, and Americans actually grow weighty every year because of the food supplements they eat, and actually that led to so many craft accidents related. Even the Uganda Airlines actually has also experienced such. When you study its history, back in the days, 3 times when it encountered accidents, but thank God there wasn't really so much damage caused by that. So the aircraft which came down near the city, now getting back to the Russian story, the aircraft which came down to the city of Menzaletsky has been carrying 20 parachutists and new crew members. 6 people were in a serious condition. A plane carrying a group of parachute jumpers crashed in the Russian region Sunday, killing 16 people and injuring 6. The emergencies. Alert L14 Tubular twin-engine short-range transport aircraft. The plane was owned by an Aero Club in the city of Menzaletsky. The TASS news agency reported. Yeah, cosmonauts use the area for training. That area where the plane crashed, it's used for training, and the Aero Club has hosted a local club, European and Championship. The club's director Ravil Namkamentov was quoted by the TASS as saying, "The state-run commercial training facility has suspended its ties with the Aero Club pending an investigation." TASS cited a source as saying the RIA agency cited local authorities as saying one of the engines could have failed. Right now, let's get into a short commercial break. This marks the end of the foreign news. We shall be right back with more stories.